It's a good morning to the gelding and a special Easter Monday edition gelding of That's Racing. And we're off to Sandown, where we've already in the pre-match had a bit of a discussion about the meeting. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning to listeners. Yes, off to Sandown on Easter Monday, Professor, for what could best be described as just the meeting. You've set me a bit of a hard task, Professor, on Easter Monday to try to come up with some winners. This is, for the extra edition of That's Racing. But I would have thought it would have been a race meeting, may have been well left alone, Professor. But that's not the spirit of That's Racing. So you're a hard taskmaster. So we've had a look. We've scratched our heads. Done eeny, meeny, miny, mo, when we've come up with a couple of...
Now, in fairness, gelding, we have used our collective knowledge and nous to find what we think might be some winners on a very hard day.
Nicely said, Professor. Yes. I'll go with the eeny, meeny, miny, mo theory.
All right, well, it's Sandown Lakeside gelding, only an eight race program, so we've managed to lose one of the 9 races that we usually have in the metropolitan meetings. The highest rated race is race 2, a benchmark 78, the Evergreen Turf handicap over 3,000 metres. The track's a soft 7. If there's rain during the day, that's going to be downgraded. Rails out 4 metres. Who knows how the track's going to play? All we can hope is for no bias, gelding.
Yes, Professor. Let's, as we found out again at Randwick on Saturday, you and I touched base early that there was in fact a big bias that at Randwick where you didn't want to be on pace or leading. In fact, you wanted to come down the middle of the track and be sitting midfield, but some of the jockeys didn't follow that. So even though Sandown's a soft 7, the Lakeside track, let's hope it plays fairly and all horses get their chance, Professor. Isn't this a day my horse Drop the Mic should have been running? Is this the type of meeting?
I'm gelding, don't raise that one. What are you trying to you're raising a red flag to a bull there.
Oh dear, Professor.
There are a few races you could run in, some nice benchmark 64s there, gelding.
Exactly, Professor. But anyway, we'll bite our tongue and we'll move on.
Now, gelding, what I've described the meeting as is it's an ordinary meeting. Now, I know the weather's less than ordinary, but given it's Easter Monday and it's a metropolitan meeting, I would have thought that you would have at least put 1 or 2 feature races in that program to encourage A, people to go to the course, B, people to bet, because you and I have both had a look at what the TAB are currently holding on those 8 races. They're not holding any more than about $15,000 yet, and it's a metropolitan meeting and it's 10 o'clock.
And so 3 hours before the first race, Professor, $15,000 for the body that basically funds racing. Well, wait on, Professor. I'll get on my soapbox now. What do we call it? What do we call the Melbourne Racing Club?
The Very Amateur Turf Club.
Well, Professor, they've managed to turn what was the Easter Festival of Racing at Caulfield into just a meeting that could have been held anywhere in country Victoria. What used to happen, Easter Saturday, they ran the Victorian Handicap, a Group 3 sprint. Then on the Monday, they would have the Group 3 staying race. But they've managed to turn that up, Professor. Why they've got to mingle with things. First, they want to get invested into anything bar racing, and then they want to change what was proven to be a successful thing. Now, if today had been a better day, say 22 degrees, a nice autumn day, what would have been better than going to the lawn at Sandown watching a Group 3 race, Professor?
Well, I know you and I aren't particularly doing anything today, Gelding. I'm making assumptions there, but we're going to probably sit at home, do some things that we've got to do, have one eye on the racing, one eye on the football. There's nothing that would have, if it was a decent day's racing, you and I would have been in communication and probably gone out there.
Would have met halfway, Professor, at Sandown.
Well,
But
and we've both got our memberships to use, don't we?
well, that's right. Well,
They're,
what do
they're
you
sitting,
get for your membership, Professor?
they're sitting in the cupboard gaining dust, Gelding.
Oh, dear. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now,
All right.
Professor.
All right,
Let's
Gelding.
try and get some winners for our. Let's try and get out some winners for our listeners, Professor.
Well, it's an ordinary day's racing, but the tips aren't ordinary, Gelding, and I'll stick by that. What are your two best bets for today?
Well, Professor, I'll be going in the Ive Handicap Race 5. Horse number 8, Mactum. Trained by Simon Zara, ridden by Dean Holland. This is a lightly raced horse, Professor, which I've had a look for today in some ordinary races. Just been looking for young type of horses, not many starts. This horse has had 4 starts for 2 wins and a third, Professor. So I'm hoping it can get up for 3 wins out of 5 starts. Not much to really tell apart from that, Professor. It swept to the lead of Pakenham last start, won over 1,400, steps up to the 1,600. Today, a 4-year-old, lightly raced. So let's hope that Mark Tum can take away with race 5. We then go to race 7, Professor, horse 2, Golden Crusader, a horse trained by Mick Price and to be ridden by young apprentice Charlene Gaudry from Mornington. She claims 3 kilos, Professor. Brings this last start winner's weight down to 59.5 with all the scratchings, in which there's 7 in it, Professor. Brings the field down to 13. Comes into barrier 9 with 59.5. Again, some good trainers that we like. This horse has had 1 start at Sandown for a win back in August last year. So hopefully it can repeat the dose, Professor. Let's hope that can get it right. So my 2 tips, Professor, race 5, horse 8, Mactum, and race 7, horse 2, Golden Crusader. And you like, Professor?
Yeah, Gelding, I'm going a little bit earlier than your first selection. Race 3, the Stowe Storage Solutions Handicap, benchmark 64. Benchmark 64, Gelding. Over 1,200 metres, almost your horse's distance.
Professor. Professor.
And Gelding, having a look at the horses that are running in this field, I think Drop the Mic might have had a pretty good show.
Yes.
In any event, I digress.
No, let me tell you the plan for Drop the Mic, Professor. After struggling in a benchmark 70 running 4, beaten 4 lengths, would you drop back a grade to a benchmark 64?
I would have thought so. That would have been
midweek.
the smart. Yeah, that would have been the smart money.
No, let's go for an open race at Flemington, eh? On
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you'll enjoy your trip out to Flemington, Gelding.
I will enjoy the trip to Flemington, Professor, but yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going race 3, horse 13, Funzel, out of barrier 4. It's had 6 starts, lightly raced, Gelding, and I think that's the theme for both you and I today. We've gone for lightly raced horses. 6 starts for 2 wins and 2 placings, so a 33% win rate, a 67% place rate. What I like is it's won at last start at Sale. It's won over the distance. It also ran 3rd at Ballarat this campaign, so it's doing very well. Sired by?
That's a Snitzel.
Yes, so there's a link there, and everybody wants a Snitzel.
Everyone wants a Snitzel, Professor.
Ridden by the very good apprentice, Carleen Heffel Gelding. She's claiming 2 kilos, so that should be in the horse's favour, and ridden by one of the trainers of the moment, Peter Moody, out of the local stables at Pakenham. Hasn't put a foot wrong this campaign.
Your trainer, Professor.
Yes, and the horse is currently showing $5 and $1.95, so good each way odds there, Gelding.
Beautiful, Professor.
And my second...
we're going to get value all day.
Yeah, we will get value all day, Gelding.
And we do suggest each way bets today, Professor.
Oh, well, we always do, Gelding.
Yes.
And my second selection's race 6, the Thoroughbred Club Australia Handicap. It's a 3-year-old benchmark 70 over 1,400 metres. In this race, Gelding, I like horse 6, Eye of the Eagle, coming out of barrier 7. It's had 6 starts for 1 win and 3 placings, so a 17% win rate, a 67% place rate. I think it's going to add to both of those figures today, Gelding. This is the first time it's been third up, so there's no form. The prior 2 campaigns that this horse has had, it's only run twice each time. It's had a first and a second already, so this campaign's been very successful for it. It's got
and at
Billy...
Sandown, Professor.
Sorry, Gelding?
And at Sandown.
Yes, and at Sandown. And it's got an up-and-coming jockey, Billy Egan, Gelding.
Yeah, Billy Egan. Billy Egan has ridden our horse.
Yes, he's in career form, Gelding. 11% over his career, but 18% over the last 50. So he's certainly stepped it up there. And a trainer we don't often mention, Gelding, John McArdle.
Yeah, good trainer, John McArdle, down at Mornington.
Yes, and so he's in career form as well, Gelding. 11% for his career, but over the last 50, 12%. And you know what I like about that winning form? And looking at the odds, $4.60 and $1.80. So I don't think punters can go wrong with that one either.
Nice one for the parlays, Professor.
Yeah, a little bit of protection there, Gelding, in both of those horses.
Yeah.
If you only get the place, then you'll nearly get all your money back. Although one of our former colleagues, Gelding, would have said we would have got all our money back.
He'd regard that as break even, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Gelding. So, all right, my 2 selections.
We've had a bit of fun with that, Professor.
We have over the years, Gelding. So my 2 selections, race 3, horse 13, Funzel, into race 6, horse 6, Eye of the Eagle. Now, turning to the Professor's parlay, and Animo, a lovely race by Animo, but just not good enough.
Oh, well, Professor, Dubai Honour clearly beat it. I suppose looking at the way the track was behaving, Professor, you and I thought particularly James McDonald might have had the horse back a pair or, sitting 6. He put the horse in a beautiful position running 4th, which normally where you'd want to be, and just sitting pretty. But just the way Saturday's track was, I just thought it was maybe a bit off, but I think the horse, Dubai Honour, beat it by 3 lengths, Professor, and may had to stay. But Professor, nothing wrong with what Animo's done for us.
Oh no, there's no complaints in that one, Gelding. And look, it was the agreed bet of the day. And look, it's just what if you're in a good race, you could be beaten by another good horse.
Yep, and it was a $5 million race, so every horse was set for it. But a good third. Probably thought it was going to get second there, Professor, but Mahung flashed down the outside just to pip it.
Well, I'm sort of glad Animo didn't get up, Gelding, because the Brisbane Broncos ran a good third. Very hard to run third in a 2-horse race, Gelding, but they did. Form got out the window at home and couldn't beat the second bottom Canberra Raiders. Query that form guide or that form line, Gelding.
The end of season trip away just got upgraded to the Professor.
I don't know, but Canberra Raiders are almost in double figures by the start of the game, Gelding.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And the other leg of the parlay, well, the Melbourne Football Club did what they had to do over in the West.
And just a nice 10-goal win.
We'd always take the 60 goal. We'd always take the 60-point plus win, wouldn't we?
I think you're going to be in for a good season, Professor.
Oh, fingers crossed, Gelding. Fingers crossed. Anyway,
the early days, but I'd rather be in your position than that of the Tigers, Professor.
Oh well, yeah. Well, yeah. I must admit, I'm pretty bullish about how the D's will go this year. All right, the Professor's Parlay race 5 horse 8 is the agreed bet of the day, Maktub, and we'll parlay that into the Parramatta Eagles to beat the West Tigers in the NRL. Parramatta Eagles are 1 from 5 gelding. The West Tigers are 0 from 5. Now, it's amazing that the NRL and the AFL both pit the bottom team versus the second bottom team today on Easter Monday. Could you believe that there could
Unbelievable,
be
isn't it?
that confluence?
Yes. Just marvellous how that kind of figured out, Professor. I'm sure at the start of the year, especially the AFL, you wouldn't have thought Geelong Hawthorn would be 17th versus 18th, would you?
No, and you wouldn't have thought the Parramatta Eagles would have been 16th either. So
exactly.
But one thing I did say to Paul Daligan, because I was having a look at the replay of the show where he did his top 17 or his 17-1 in the NRL. And what I'd said to him was that we'd know a bit about the Parramatta Eagles after their first 5 games because they've played the Storm, the Sharks, the Sea Eagles, the Panthers and the Roosters. So I can understand why they might be 1 and 4. And I would expect them to do a real job on West Tigers today. Now, the points differential is very interesting.
Yeah.
Even though Parramatta's lost 4 games, they're only a minus 19 points differential. West Tigers, after losing 5, are league worst minus 64.
Yeah, I think not much to get excited about with the West Tigers, Professor.
No, I think the money might be safe there, Gelding. Let's parlay that into Geelong to beat Hawthorn. Geelong amazingly 0-3. They're stone motherless last. This is their comeback game, Gelding. They've got a percentage of 83%, which is not bad after you've lost 3 games.
Yeah.
Hawthorn's percentage after winning 1 is 60.1. So they're very easily scored against. I think Geelong are going to make up for lost time today. Geelong to beat Hawthorn, Parramatta Eagles to beat West Tigers, and race 5, horse 8, Maktub. The win parlay, Gelding, is 4-1. The place parlay showing 2-1. So very good odds for punters.
Yes, some good odds. And look, we do point out that the racing league's very hard today, Professor, but I think you're spot on with your other 2 tips with the Eels and Geelong. I think Geelong might be very similarly West Coast Melbourne scoreline. I think a bit of outside conditions weather might help Hawthorn, but I think Geelong should win easily.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not going to the G today, Gelding. It's a little bit too cold.
Well, mate, you need the thermals on today.
You definitely would. All right, Gelding. Until next Saturday, and that's racing. It's good luck
and good punting.